Welcome to This Explainer. You know that feeling when it's 2 a.m., you are staring at the ceiling, and your brain just will not shut off? Your thoughts are racing, jumping from one anxiety to the next, and you just can't seem to find the off switch? Well, today we are going to unpack a really fascinating framework that maps out exactly why that happens. We're going to trace the entire evolution of human communication to reveal a highly unique, honestly pretty unconventional method for quieting the mind. We're getting right into the mechanics of our inner monologue, giving you a totally new way to understand why it constantly runs, and much more importantly, how to finally hit that pause button.
Let's kick things off with a bit of a brain teaser. Why is it that adults and children alike still dream almost exclusively in pictures? I mean, think about how weird that actually is. In our waking lives, we're totally immersed in language. We've mastered complex grammar, we read, we write emails, we're texting nonstop. We are quite literally surrounded by words all day long. And yet, the second our head hits the pillow and we fall asleep, our dreams play out like these wild, silent movies, totally devoid of pages of text. The framework we're digging into today presents a really compelling evolutionary reason for this, and wrapping our heads around it is the very first step to unlocking ultimate mental silence.
So, Part 1, the dawn of language. To really grasp why our modern minds are so loud, we actually have to rewind the clock way back to the very beginning of human communication.
Humanity's journey definitely didn't start out with structured sentences and vocabularies. It started with raw, animalistic sounds. A shout to warn the tribe of danger, or a grunt to coordinate a hunt. Slowly, as early humanity evolved, that shifted into painting pictures on cave walls to record events. As societies got a bit more complex, those big, sprawling pictures were condensed into specific symbols to make sharing info a lot faster. And finally, in the modern era, those rudimentary symbols evolved into the complex letters and structured words that we use today. It's been quite the journey.
But here is something absolutely crucial to keep in mind. Back in those early days, communication had an immense psychological weight to it. Those primitive sounds and symbols were directly, inextricably linked to human feelings and emotions. A cave drawing of a saber-toothed tiger wasn't just objective data on a wall. It triggered a visceral, intense, survival-based fear. The symbol and the emotion were basically one and the same. If a certain feeling came up, it instantly brought up a deeply ingrained set of memories and physical reactions. There was no separating the two.
Then came the invention of spoken language, and it was a total game changer. By putting things into structured words, humans could suddenly detach all that heavy emotional baggage from actual knowledge. It was essentially the ultimate upgrade to human memory capacity. Because we didn't have to literally feel the fear every time we shared information about a predator, we had vastly more mental space. We could start dispassionately predicting natural seasons, effortlessly remembering the signs of coming calamities, and ultimately building civilizations. Spoken language became our absolute greatest survival tool.
Which brings us to Section 2, the divided human mind. Because while language was a massive leap forward for our survival, it came with a pretty wild side effect for our brains.
This evolutionary leap basically split our mental architecture right down the middle. Your conscious and subconscious mind, they got the upgrade. They operate entirely on modern letters, words, and language. It's the literal voice you think with right now. But your unconscious mind, it kind of missed that software update. Our deepest unconscious is effectively stuck in the past, still living exclusively in that ancient world of raw sounds and pictures. And this profound split perfectly answers our question from earlier. We dream in pictures because our unconscious mind simply hasn't learned to read.
Moving right along to Section 3, the mind's recording machine. So if our brains are split like this, how do these two totally different sides actually interact when we're just trying to get through our waking day?
This source material uses this fascinating, highly mechanical metaphor to explain this. It states that the mind always records what you speak and responds accordingly with speech and action. Think of your conscious mind as a tape recorder that is just constantly looping. It takes in the language you know, processes it, and continuously spits out an automated response. We have all felt this, getting caught in that endless internal debate where your brain just keeps looping the same stressful thoughts over and over. That is the mind's recording machine in action. It's an endless, closed feedback loop of known language.
And that leads us to Section 4, the unknown language hack. This is really the absolute core of today's explainer. If our conscious mind is essentially a tape recorder stuck on a loop of known language, how on earth do we turn the thing off? Well, the proposed solution is highly unconventional.
Enter the unknown language meditation. The definition is key here. It involves speaking an unrecognized language to intentionally confuse and short-circuit the mind's recording process. Now, Let me be super clear about this. This does not mean going out and learning French or Spanish or Latin. It means speaking literal flowing gibberish, sounds that have absolutely zero meaning to your own brain. It's basically a biohack. By feeding your conscious mind audio data that it completely fails to categorize, you totally disrupt its automatic programming.
So what are the actual mechanics behind this hack? When you start speaking gibberish, your mind's recording mechanism basically jams. It just stops. Why? Because the conscious mind has absolutely no idea how to respond to an input it can't translate. And in that highly vulnerable pause, a pressure valve releases. Because the conscious mind is halted in its tracks, your unconscious mind finally has the space to open up. The text claims this allows all the suppressed, pent-up internal language to just be thrown out, initiating a really profound mental cleanup.
All right, on to our final piece, Section 5, Reaching Ultimate Silence. Let's get into the practical application of this. How do we actually build this theory into a workable daily routine?
The protocol prescribed by the text is surprisingly straightforward. Step 1, you actively speak an unknown language. Again, just pure gibberish for exactly 10 minutes. Yes, it might feel a little ridiculous at first, but you just let the unrecognized sounds flow without overthinking them. Then, step 2, you stop entirely. You sit and become completely silent for 5 minutes. And the absolute magic of this technique is said to happen right in the transition between those two steps.
During that precise 5-minute window of silence, something profound supposedly occurs. Because you just spent 10 minutes deeply confusing your conscious mind, its endless recording mechanism has been totally shut down. And in those 5 minutes of quiet, it simply hasn't managed to reboot yet. That specific gap is where you have a genuine chance to truly experience the silence which is beyond the mind.
But of course, doing this just once isn't going to be a permanent fix. Consistency is everything here. It requires a sustained commitment. The specific threshold highlighted in the text for unlocking the deepest, most lasting psychological benefits is 21 continuous days. By continually hitting the brakes on that conscious loop for 3 solid weeks, you are effectively scrubbing your mental hard drive. The long-term benefits claimed are huge. We are talking about literally clearing out deeply painful memories and cleaning your entire memory system of unwanted baggage. You're flushing out the emotional residue tied to language, allowing your whole mental architecture to finally reset.
We have covered a lot of ground today, tracing language from ancient cave paintings all the way to the ceaseless inner monologue inside our heads. And we've explored how this fascinating framework suggests using raw, meaningless sound to short-circuit that exact system and finally find some silence. So I will leave you with this final thought to chew on. Are you ready to stop your mind's recording? Give it some thought, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.